So today I want to have a look at a bunch of AI related news and updates around the WordPress space. The very first one is in the plugin check plugin. So if you don't know what the plugin check plugin is, it's a plugin you can install on your WordPress site and use it to check your plugins for submission to the plugin directory. So the big change, the big AI related change that happened is that you can now use a new tool called Plugin Check Namer to help plugin authors evaluate plugin names for potential conflicts, trademark issues, and naming best practices. So naming your plugin is something that comes up a lot in plugin reviews. And basically they check for things like whether you're using trademarks or whether you are using common terms. And so now you can use this Plugin Check Namer tool. You can put in the name of the plugin you want to evaluate. You can enter your author or brand name if you own the trademark, and you can check if your proposed plugin name has a higher chance of being accepted by the plugin review team. So you select the provider you want to use, you pop your API key in, and then you select the model that you want to use. You save your changes, and then you can use that model and that provider to check your plugin names. But I'm just going to do the one today, and we'll see what happens. So now if I go to the Plugin Check Namer, I've actually got a couple of plugins that I'm busy working on for demo purposes. So I'm going to use one of those. So it's possible naming issues. The display name WP AI SDK demo violates naming guidelines because it uses WP as a standard information for WordPress, which is discouraged in the plugin repository. And so there is my analysis complete. So I can then go, okay, this is not going to work. So what about if I say something like Jonathan's AI SDK demo? Let's see what that does. Okay, so this one, it seems to have been happy with the results, but there it says, cool, no issue detected. You can call it Jonathan's AI SDK demo. That's fine because I'm Jonathan, so that's obviously why it doesn't have a problem with it. And there you go. So now I know that this is a plugin name that I can use. So now I can go and rename my plugin accordingly. Now, it doesn't mean that your plugin name will be accepted, but it just means there's a higher chance that it would be accepted, less of a chance of somebody complaining about it. Okay, let's move on. The other thing that I discovered, if you're following WordPress core development in WordPress 6.9, the Abilities API was introduced to WordPress. One thing that we didn't get right for 6.9 was that the Abilities API has a JavaScript component. And what that essentially means is you can use the Abilities package in your JavaScript code, and then you can execute abilities from JavaScript. At the moment, if you're just using core and you're using abilities in core, you have to basically query one of the REST API endpoints using API fetch or one of those things. With the JavaScript client, you don't have to do any of that. You just use the core functionality that the JavaScript API makes available. So I discovered this was merged in Gutenberg version 22.0 as far as I know. So that means if you have a WordPress install, a WordPress 6.9 install, and you don't have any plugins active, but you install the Gutenberg plugin, you should be able to use the JavaScript API. So I'm going to try that today and see if that does indeed work. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Gutenberg plugin. And then once this has been installed, I'm going to see if I can do what I want to do. See if that works. Okay. So, API. Okay. So that seems to have worked. And there's executability. So now I should have get abilities. Get abilities. Yes, get abilities work. So now if I go let ability. I can't spell today. No. Abilities equals. Should just be get abilities. And console log abilities. So there we go. Core get site info, core get environment info. Pretty awesome. There are my abilities. So now I should be able to go let result equals execute ability, and let's pass in core get site info. That should give me a result. And suppose a console log result. I should get a bunch of information. There's the result. And there we go. There's the admin email and all that stuff from my local install. So that's cool. That means two things. That means you can start using Abilities JavaScript API client now if you have a Gutenberg plugin installed. And it means this will probably get shipped with WordPress 7.0. And the other thing it means is that if this pull request that we were looking at earlier, it's adding experimental abilities and workflow palettes to the command palette. If I open up the command palette and I go Command J, for example, now I can run abilities and workflows. So it picks up what abilities are available and then executes them and then does things. So that's cool. I'm glad to see that happening. So while we're there is a pull request open to add more abilities to WordPress core. So basically core post management abilities, and the idea is to add abilities for create post, get post, find post, and update post. There's a big discussion around how this should work, but essentially you'll be able to, with the JavaScript client, you'll be able to run this from browser, so you can run it from anywhere, editor, any plugins, any themes, whatever the case may be. And the whole point is to eventually make sure that everything that WordPress does is available. But if you are interested in this development, I highly recommend checking it out because I think it's cool. I think the ability to be able to trigger any of this functionality from AI is cool. So this one is more of a check this out update. The WordPress core AI team has released version 1.1 of the AI Experiments plugin. And the goal of this plugin is just to showcase the different building blocks within WordPress and how they work. So at the moment, some of the ideas is we want to have an AI playground. They want to build a content assistant. They want to build a site agent. They want to show some workflow automation. And so the goal is just to create a plugin that showcases what is possible with all of these tools so that users can install it, can check it out, can see what it does. Developers can play with it, can look at the code, maybe use the code for some of their own workflows. So I'm going to install this now and just see what it can do. So this thing is telling me the battery's dead, but I have it plugged into power. So I'm not sure why it thinks the battery's dead. Okay, you're stuck with this view now. I don't know why that happened. It is very annoying. Provides a generate exit button in the exit panel. So, generate an exit. Oh, there, okay. All right, so let us do this. Okay. Let's take the title out there. Add the title in there. So let's say I'm working in a post. Let's save the draft. And now I can generate an excerpt. Okay, so it's doing some things. And there we go. Discover how the WordPress AI client simplify adding AI features to your plugins and themes by centralizing API integrations and credential. Oh, it's actually got more. Okay. And credential management. It's a whole excerpt. That's pretty cool. There's a regenerate excerpt option. I like it. It looks like title might be possible. Generates title from content. Okay. So let's see. Ah, there's a generate button. Okay. So if we remove the title, then we can go generate. And it takes the content, obviously uses the AI client, passes it off to one of the models, and then returns some titles. So that's cool. I'm going to select that one, for example, and there it is. I think it's pretty cool to see these things in the place. So you can generate a title from content. You can generate an excerpt. It looks like it's going to support image generation. Okay, cool. So the rest is probably still coming. But that's pretty cool. Glad to see that work is progressing. Kudos to the team working on it. I look forward to seeing some more of these things becoming available. The last thing I wanted to do is this thing, WP Bench. So my understanding about WP Bench is it answers the question, how well do language models actually understand WordPress? So this is important because if you're using a coding tool or you're using an AI agent, you're going to want to know which is the best one to use for WordPress development. Okay? And what WP Bench does, it evaluates how well AI models understand WordPress development from core AIs, coding standards to plugin architecture and security best practices. It is available as an open source repository. It's part of the core AI team. It uses Python as far as I can see. And I don't know if my Python configuration is set up properly on my machine. I also need to create env files with provider keys. So I'm going to have to take some things off screen to do that. But apparently this is how it all works. So I'm guessing you clone it and then you can run it. So let's do that. Okay, so it is run from the root. I completely missed that. Okay, wp bench.yaml. And let's go. All right, oh, here we go. Okay, so it starts development side, starts running. Okay. Oh wow, so it's actually checking like all the models probably that I configured in the YAML file. Yeah, okay, so it's 4 and 4 mini Claude Sonnet and Opus. So obviously you can configure other models. You probably could also configure like open source models and run them locally or from Hugging Face. Okay, so that is done. So it shows a knowledge percentage. It shows a correctness percentage. It currently doesn't show anything about quality, and then an overall percentage. And currently Claude Opus is the better of the models, which is what I've heard from folks who are using these things. But that's a pretty cool thing to do, like once a week or once a month or whatever, and just see and make sure you're using the right information. So there's WP Bench. It's a great way to determine whether you're using the right model. Okay, with that, folks, I'm going to call it a day. I have marked off all the things I wanted to mark off. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday, whatever time it is. And I will see you, all going well, next week Friday, as usual, at the normal time, or on YouTube, or on the internet. All right, have a good one. Bye.